Hello and welcome to the NFL Injury Report for Week 11. I'm Big Italy 42 here talking about key injuries that happened on Week 11 and what to look at moving forward. This week, one of many this season that have been not pretty on the injury side. And starting off with these first two guys, pretty popular. Devontae Freeman got a concussion. First three carries for 43 yards and left the game with a concussion. And that definitely hurt a lot of lineups. One of the most expensive players in any position. Guy that I had a ton of myself, and was definitely setting up for a big-time game against the Colts. Tevin Coleman came back in, did not look very good at all. 17 carries for 48 yards, no catches in the air. And Coleman obviously was overtaken by Freeman early in the season, but there's no way that if Devontae Freeman is healthy, that Tevin Coleman's going to be getting the vast majority of the carries. And we'll have to see how long it takes for him to pass concussion protocol, but Tevin Coleman, if he does step in and facing the Vikings this week, not a guy that is really going to be on many radars this week. Not a guy with a whole lot of upside. Just did not run well in a much better matchup this week. Charcandrick West, hamstring injury, the most chalky play of all chalk plays this week. And he had 13 touches, 64 total yards, looking like he was in great shape. Spencer Ware took over, 101 total yards, 2 touchdowns late. Charcandrick going to be listed as questionable for this week. We'll see what happens as we move forward in the week. Obviously, it only being Monday right now. Bills are a solid run defense and less than 100 yards per game. Spencer Ware, Charcandrick West, either one that's in there. Maybe not a cash game play moving forward in this matchup, but we'll have to see what kind of situation we see with the hamstring injury moving forward. We could see West or Ware get some looks in the passing game, though, so there's still interesting options, but not guys that I'd be rushing out to play in that tough matchup against the Bills. Case Keenum with a concussion. Nick Foles was benched, and Keenum didn't look that good anyway. Less than 50% completion percentage, had about a 55% coming in, so that's not much of a surprise there. Late in the game, but they still let him continue to play after getting hit and ended up leaving with a concussion finally at the end. He was barely able to stand up, as Zach mentions here. He thinks he should have been removed from the game. I didn't see that game, but it sounds to me like he was hit and pretty evidently concussed, though. But either way, Rams lost a close one. Keenum wasn't good beforehand, wasn't good afterward. And Nick Foles should be stepping back in, facing the Bengals, and neither one is a guy that you're looking to play against the Bengals next week. Contrary to what you may have seen on Sunday night this week, Bengals, before this game, allowing the least points to any team in the league. Nick Foles only has 7 total touchdowns on the season. Rams just not a good offense to target there. Zach Ertz, another player that was, I won't say popular, but he was in quite a few GPP lineups there. And Ertz with a concussion, big hit in the second quarter. He had 2 catches for 12 yards, had a couple early targets, so he was looking good. Had 5 straight games with at least 4 for 40. Now it looks like Brett Selleck going to be the guy against the Lions on Thanksgiving. Selleck has 11 for 213 in the past 2 weeks, and he's really, really cheap on DraftKings. You don't love the price on FanDuel, but assuming that Zach Ertz will not be playing here in 3 days and that Brent Selleck will be taking over there. Joe Flacco, torn up. This was not a pretty game for the Ravens. We saw Justin Forsett broke his arm. Now Joe Flacco, torn ACL and MCL, was 1 yard shy of his third straight 300-yard game, and already missing Steve Smith, now missing a key player at every single main position on offense. This is not a pretty situation for the Ravens. Hopefully, for their sake, Flock will be ready for the beginning of next year, but that's probably unlikely. It looks like they're going to be turned to Matt Schaub now. Hasn't started games since 2013. Didn't look very good in his last late run there. But we're facing a Browns team that's been a pretty terrible defense. I don't have much faith in Schaub. Zach mentions he doesn't either. Most people don't, but it is a good matchup. So if you're looking for a flyer in a tournament, I guess you could do worse, but certainly not a guy that I'm excited to look at in any regard. Justin Forsett, the other guy we mentioned here a minute ago. Javorius Allen is actually a viable backup here. Broken arm for Justin Forsett, and Buck Javorius Allen, whatever you want to call him there, has been fine. Had 27 touches after Forsett left, 115 total yards. Now facing the worst run defense in all of football. Gotta imagine that Buck Allen, Javorius Allen is going to be heavily relied upon this week with Matt Schaub under center, especially in that great matchup against the Browns. So that's your injury report for this week. Follow us on Twitter at DF Cafe. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Check out the rest of our great content at dailyfantasycafe.com.